right into the live. And I know, guys, usually we have this awesome video with music and all kinds of cool stuff rolling. But guess what? Because communists run these platforms, they, of course, kicked our last video off 2 weeks ago for the firearms policy that, was complete garbage. So we just did a countdown. But hey, look, guys, a couple things before I introduce these guests who do not need an introduction at all. Let's see who we got in the house here. We've got Diana, we got Benjamin, we got Matt King. What's going on, Matt? Christy. Remember, guys, like, share, subscribe, pass it around. Go over there and let me pull these banners up. The Russ man is not here tonight. He is probably hanging out at the bar, if the truth be known. But he deserves a little bit of a break. But these guys here, scan that, get it into your phone, save it, star it, and become members of the Soil Saviors, because that's what we're talking about tonight, is how to clean up our health. Guys, let me say just a couple things here before we get rolling here. A chicken sandwich should not have 250 ingredients in it. It should not. It's chicken. Children's breakfast cereal should not contain yellow 5, blue 40, red 40, glyphosate. That's an herbicide, guys. Google it. Google their Magically Delicious cereal and check out the ingredients and what even Google has to say about it. That the acceptable levels of chemicals that they throw into our food. I don't know, guys. We've lost our sovereignty here as a nation. We've lost our food sovereignty. And I, for one, am sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick of being a guinea pig by Big Pharma and the food industry and all these other sick, twisted bastards that run this world. We're worried about Iran, and we're worried about illegals and terrorists and all this stuff. If we don't do something about our health, there won't be anything left for the terrorists to take out. So, and that's what brings us to our guest tonight, which is the awesome and one of my favorite UFC champion fighters, Mr. Pat Miletich, and his partner in crime, Doc Wil Spencer of the of Soil Saviors and Cell Saviors. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. Nice to be here.
Appreciate it, buddy.
For sure. Now, y'all, if you guys have questions, make sure to do hashtag soil. Throw hashtag soil up there in the comments, and I'm going to star them as much as I possibly can and catch them. But bear with me. It is what it is. Russ is out, so I'm running the whole show, trying to keep the conversation rolling and star comments and all that stuff. But we'll get through it. It's all right. And these gentlemen right over here next to me are great speakers, and they can fill in all those gaps. So, guys, you guys went from, I know we used to be the Mineral King, and you've done some transformations. Can you tell everybody what is new that you have going on now?
No, sure. So, as a team, we decided we had, some solutions for several different things, and what we believe to, help not only people become healthier, but also the environment. Of course, with Soil Saviors, we're focused on the environment because, even the conventional medical world, will say that 70 to 90% of all illnesses come from the environment. So that's kind of a easy one. And so just being able to convert toxic chemicals and heavy metals into beneficial elements and bioavailable metals and bioavailable essential fatty acids is the way I guess we should term it. But also for, human health, people can address chelating and transmuting the toxins in their own bodies and remineralizing their bodies to allow their body to repair and rebuild. And then also we have solutions for bees at Bee Saviors. These are all not up yet, but they will be. Bee Saviors, Water Saviors, and livestock saviors and pet saviors. So it's the same basic fundamentals, different quality of products necessarily.
Different blends.
Yeah, different blends and things, whether it's for honeybees or for your cat and your dog, or certainly the highest grade for humans. And then for the soil, it just comes down to, again, remineralizing the soil, the 90 essential nutrients, the minimum 60 minerals, and then a unique collection, a very diverse blend of bacteria and mycelium and some extremophiles that come from extreme environments to break down the toxins in the soil. So it's pretty wide ranging, and Will can elaborate on this. It dawned on me at a certain point after 38 years that the human body and soil are one and the same. Those nutrients that we're supposed to have are supposed to come from the soil. It's been mined out of the soil many, many decades ago. And when you look around yourself, when you're out in public, or when you by chance look in the mirror and your health is not what it used to be, well, you're mineral deficient and you're toxic. And that's really what it comes down to, right?
And I want to throw something in there. I mean, I'm a Christian. I believe in the good Lord. And I go back to that whole thing, from ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We come from the soil and return to it. And, it's funny, if you go back 2,000 years ago, the life expectancies, the longevity of people then versus now, has declined. Now, we've come back a little bit, but it's only because of modern pharmacia, I would say. But I think you really nailed it with what you said right there. If you want to be healthy, you need to get back to the good soil. You need that good soil. But we'll throw up. We've got a comment here, and maybe you guys can shine some light on this one right here. Burke Springs, they said, soil servers, how to clear a water source of crypto. I can even say that.
Cryptosporidium.
There we go. There we go.
So that's an infection, basically. That's there. Cryptosporidium is an infectious state because it's missing the other organisms that keep it in check. So it's that particular strain is a very strong. It can live through a lot of chemical and stuff. And the other strains of organisms that keep that in check are fairly volatile, so they die easy. So don't know the water source. So if it's a well, there's actually things that you could put down your well to clean that. If it's open water, we have things for that as well. So that is not an easy, simple answer because I don't know the source. And,
don't know what toxins are in
there.
there.
There's other things. That's just one thing. If there's that one thing, there's other things. So that would probably require a consultation to really get to the bottom of that. But yes, there's things that we have that you put down your wellhead, if it's a well, that will knock that infection down, because that's all that is. That's an overpopulation of one strain that then becomes problematic, and it causes illness.
Nice. What are you guys, your thoughts on silver and colloidal silver and things of that nature? I know we used to have a cistern years ago. Hundreds of years ago, that was a normal thing. Throw silver dollars down into the cistern. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the Romans would use milk baths with silver in it, right? And the microorganisms in the milk, which used to be, it was natural milk, of course, it wasn't pasteurized and things like that, would work on the silver coins and basically make it bioavailable, and you would absorb it into your skin, and it would assist in getting rid of some bad bacteria balances and viruses, things like that was the idea. And so that's kind of what the Romans were doing. But I know that colloidal silver through electrolysis, you really can only use that for a certain amount of time before it potentially can cause a few side effects. So it's, they have advanced greatly in colloidal silver technology. But, you know, that's something that I used back when I was 20 years old with my respiratory system. And it definitely works. You just can't stay on it for a long period of time, or I wouldn't recommend it. And Will knows quite a bit about colloidal silvers and coppers and things like that as well. So
colloidal silver works good topically. You can put it in a nebulizer. It works good there. Put it in your eyes, but I never recommend swallowing it. There's way better choices to use for swallowing because it does have a negative effect on your biome.
No kidding. Now, can you go into any more detail of that? I mean, what does it actually do to you? Is it just kill?
It's an antibiotic. It's a metal ion. It's a metal ion, and you're taking it in, and over longer periods of time, it will mess with you. It has an antibiotic properties. It doesn't distinguish between good or bad. If you want to look at it that way, it doesn't. It just doesn't work that way.
Wow. Okay.
And I have seen people harm themselves over the years.
You know, and well, so it goes in. It's killing the good and the bad. It's killing everything then.
Yeah, it's like napalm.
Gotcha. Let's see. Soil savers in the county water system with Iridium just got notification this morning. We don't use county water, but the thought occurred to me that when modern RX were nits available. So that's the county water.
there's probably some chemicals in there that are causing the
imbalance.
That imbalance, the particular bacteria to explode in population to try and address the toxins, whether it's, you know, chemicals, metals, whatever, or both, right?
Okay. All right. I mean, that makes sense. I like it. I know on my own personal health, one thing that I started doing that seems to have helped a huge amount. And I mean, I've been using what you guys have there at the Cell Saviors. And that's helped immensely with my gut health and how I'm feeling. And, you know, you can't abuse yourself like we talked before we went live for 30
right.
years and then just think it's going to fix itself in a couple weeks. Be like, why don't I feel better? And, you know, why don't I feel amazing in 2 weeks? You know, after 29 years, a lot of people don't know this. I smoked 2.5, 3 packs of cigarettes a day for good grief, 28, 29 years. I mean, absolutely just chain smoked. Even when I fought in the ring, I thought I knew something about health when I was younger, and come to find out, I was just young.
Marlboro wasn't part of it.
I was just young. You know, I didn't know anything about health. When you're young, you can do all kinds of bad stuff to yourself, and it doesn't matter. You know, and now that I've gotten older, I'm like, well, it appears I'm not the health guru that I thought I was. So, but one thing I started doing was you can buy pH strips and check your pH levels, you know, in the morning. Pee on the strip, check it, gut health wise. And I've noticed that since I've been keeping my pH in balance, it's made a huge difference. And in essence, we are just like a swimming pool. You know, the pH gets out of whack, all of a sudden all kinds of nasty stuff starts growing in it. And the next thing you know, you got a green pool. And would you say that our gut is the same thing?
Yeah, but our body's supposed to manage the pH on its own. That's the whole point. This is why we have dietary recommendations. This is why the supplements are the way they are, to help the body so it can regulate the way it sees fit to regulate, you know, by observing and adjusting to environmental stimulus inside of us and outside of us.
Okay. Yeah. Well, mine is not operating at that level yet.
Right. That's why you feel tired in the beginning.
Right.
And then we look at dietary stuff. That's what people don't get, especially in the prepper community. They're telling you you need to stock up and use your cereal grains, nuts, and seeds. Well, that is causing acidosis right there. That is causing irritable bowel. It's causing diverticulitis. That's all these things. So those are survival foods, but you can't eat them all the time. Otherwise, you're going to barely survive. If you want to thrive, you can't eat survival food. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I mean, I agree. Yeah, survival food is, well, just that. It's just to survive.
Will should probably explain a little more on the grains, nuts, seeds.
Yeah,
that
let's get
people
in this. I love
that-
this. It looks like you have somebody that's using your product there. It says in our testing, our ewes always go to the paddock sections that were treated with the Soil Saviors product.
They know where the nutrients.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they know where the
where
nutrients
it's at.
are.
Animals know.
They know where it's at. And that's something I want to get with you guys as well, because we have, livestock, goats and chickens, and our soil, we don't spray any chemicals, but they're, 20 years ago, there was a lot of it that was done here. And so I'm sure that still remains in the soil. And from the soil tests that we've passed on, that we've sent in, it's rough. It's definitely rough in a whole lot of places. And that's not showing just the chemicals. It's just showing where we're at in pH levels and, soil composition and how good the soil is, which most of it is not. So we have come a long ways in the past couple years by rotating our chickens and our goats and, utilizing them to build soil. But I noticed something that we have to put mineral blocks in for our goats because they're just not getting that nutrients. I mean, they will destroy a mineral block in a week. It's insane how fast they will eat that thing.
They're starving to death. That's why.
Right. Exactly. So let's talk about grains and nuts and all that kind of stuff, because I'm not gonna lie. I love nuts and oats and barley and all that kind of stuff.
Well, consider a healthy human cell will never crave that, only your infections. So it's really not you that's craving that. It's really your infection load that's craving that, because those infections require glucose, blood glucose. And so most of these infections have been with us since the womb. The fetus is a detox pathway. So most of these things we're born with. They know us better than we are, and they can remote control us with desires. And so with all the marketing of Kellogg's and, all the General Mills and the lobbying of the big ag stuff, the grain lobbies, they've now pretty much permeated that whole sector, and they've got their own and reserved their own huge space on the pyramid. The dietary food pyramid. So now people, you're eating things that are not healthy for you. They're only survival food.
And what is it about the seeds that causes problems?
So you're eating the baby of the plant. Okay. And nature, because the plant cannot run from the predator, the plant has put all kinds of chemistry into the baby. So if the predator eats enough of the babies, they'll die.
I see.
That's why we have infertility of all time. What's that?
I said I've not heard it explained like that. I have not.
Yeah, I think I was the only guy that ever listened in 8th grade, because I heard it in 8th grade.
Yeah, I missed it. It's probably because I quit school.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I dropped out about that time, Will. So if I'd have just stayed in another week, I would have caught that information.
And Will can name all some of the chemicals that are going on with, and people getting joint inflammation and all kinds of digestive issues, things like that from the chemicals that are, naturally existing protective chemicals that the plants put into their babies.
Well, and in today's day and age, thanks to Monsanto and all this stuff too, now you throw in the genetically modifying, where they're impregnating all the seed with pesticides and insecticides. And, I always assumed that the intolerances that we have in this day and age to wheat and flour and all the wheat stuff, all the grains, was due to that, all the just ridiculous amounts of toxic chemicals that they dump on when they grow this stuff. But so you're saying no matter what, it still is not good for you if you even take that out of the equation?
I'm saying that organic grain is loaded with more natural chemistry, because the plant's able to express more of the protective qualities to protect the species. Now, you're talking about the fertilizers, the chemicals, pesticides, and things like that, which is true. they have their own level of badness, but when the plant is healthier, it's able to then put more protective chemistry into the baby to protect from. So your whole wheat, your whole oats, all these other things that are in your organic stuff, or in your non-chemical growing, they're able to express even more protective qualities. And so that's the chemistry I'm talking about, the natural chemistry, the phytic acids, the phytoestrogens, the proteins. They're actually in a petri dish. In a petri dish, there's proteins, and there's these chemicals that are there. They call them, like gluten is a protein and lectin is a protein. And so it's a protein in a petri dish. But as soon as you swallow the protein, because it's toxic. That's why gluten intolerance is so bad, because gluten in and of itself, when you swallow it, causes all kinds of problems. And cereal grains, nuts, and seeds don't break down in your stomach. We have a 3-hour stomach that's fairly high in acid, but we don't create enough cellulase and acids to break it down. So then that acid in the stomach transfers into your small intestine, leading to acidosis, SIBO. It leads to leaky gut. It leads to all those problems in the upper GI that is self-induced from consuming grains, nuts, and seeds. A lot of it.
Okay. So dietary wise, and this is something that I've actually not talked specifically with you guys about, is what should our diet in this day and age be, with just the ridiculous amount of garbage that's out there? There's no doubt that going to the grocery store is a joke. There's a reason that there's more scientists employed by the Food Administration than there is NASA and everything else combined. So where do we start on our diet then?
So just so you know, to save time, on cellsaviors.org, there's a whole section of videos that we did that's species specific for humans. And basically it's animal products and fruits and vegetables, no cereal, grains, nuts, or seeds. That's the very, very, very short form. We did how long? It's going to be like an hour and a half video, or a whole podcast.
Numerous videos.
So you're going to have to pay attention here in the next couple of weeks when cellsaviors.org is up, and hit those videos. But ultimately, it's fruits, vegetables, and animal products. That's the bulk of it.
That's it. So if it comes in a plastic bag, probably want to steer clear of it.
Well, if you're going to get like grapes and things, whole food, real food comes in that kind of stuff. But if it comes in a box, so it's basically on the outside of the store. The stuff in the center of the store, in the rows in the store, most of that stuff is just not on. That's food like substances. That's really not food.
Yeah. If it needs a commercial, don't eat it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That marketing. That's the sad part is that our food, it is engineered to smell great and taste great when it's just complete toxic waste. And
that's those flavor enhancers and everything that trick our senses to get us to eat industrial waste.
Exactly. We are just garbage disposers at that point. So we had a star comment up here. Matt King, what's going on, brother? Soil Savers, what kind of filter should I be using on city water? That's a big thing too. Like, before you answer that, I remember they were doing studies in, New York, the water. This has been years ago. It was talking about the, how the water had even down to birth control, and they couldn't filter all this hormones and all the crazy stuff out of that. So if you're on city water, what's the way to go?
Well, Will talk about a device that he's got that
we have.
We'll be selling on watersaviors.org. That's not up yet, but so I had a conversation with a guy who owns a large water filtration company. And it was nice of him. He was giving them out to folks in Ohio. And I just asked him a question. I said, well, what are you doing with the filters, the carbon filters, after they run their life course
Get full of junk.
and somebody has to get a new one,
Yeah.
a new filter for it. And he goes, "Oh, well, we're throwing them away." I go, so you're taking all the toxins from the water over all the years of using it and filtering and pulling a lot of these toxins out, not all of them, of course, and then throwing it in the landfill and retoxifying the environment with the exact same chemicals we're trying to fix. So that's okay. But then I said, we have to address now the filters because we can fix your filters now. So we'd have to build a big, throw them in a hole and then put microorganisms in there to digest all the synthetics and heavy metals in the filters. And then we'd fix the carbon filters after the problem, right? So Will can talk about restructuring.
Yeah, let's hear about that, because man, you guys are just hitting all the bases, because I haven't been on your site for a while, and I mean, you've got bee saviors, soil saviors, cell saviors. Now you got water savers. You guys are water savers.
We're hammering it. This is like a lifetime of R&D and building this structure, and now partnering up with Pat. So now we've got solutions where most people don't. So you got to have some kind of particle filter to get. You want to filter out the best you can. And then there's a water structuring unit that we have. That will be on water saviors, and I think it might be on soil savers eventually. I don't remember what you and Nick were talking about.
I believe so, yeah.
And so what that does is it restructures your water. And so, like, we've done tests years ago when uranium-rich water coming into the unit and no uranium coming out. It totally causes the uranium molecule to fall apart, just like fluoride, just like ammonia, just like chlorine, and all these other nasty chemicals. It causes those things you ultimately want to filter out the best you can. And then this structuring unit causes those toxin particles to fall apart. And so then you no longer have uranium, or you no longer have chlorine, or they're not there, as in you have a really, like 6 or 7 different atoms held together, and that's chlorine. Well, that chlorine then when it falls apart is no longer chlorine, or uranium when it falls apart. It's no longer, you can't see uranium there. It's not toxic anymore because the molecule fell apart. Okay. That's what restructuring can do. That's what our unit does.
So you're not going in, I mean, you're destroying it from within. You're just disassembling that and turning it back into what it was beforehand then.
Yeah, because you're not going to be able to filter it all out. You're just not. So you've got to be able to restructure it so that it's not only not harmless, but beneficial.
Yeah. The other thing is when you do like reverse osmosis or distillation or softeners or these things that are, no doubt you have no toxins there, but you also have no life force there. That's why I am totally against consuming distilled water and reverse osmosis or softened water. I'm against consuming that because you're consuming something that's going to pull your life force and strip minerals out of you. It's clean, but there's no life force there. And so it's going to cause you harm. I mean, when I was 10 years old, I had a aquarium in my room, and I was lazy, typical kid, and it was all green. So my mom one day when I was at school cleaned it and put distilled water in it. And by the time I got home, all my fish were dead. So if the fish can't live in distilled water, you're not going to live drinking distilled water. It's going to take your life away. But there's
something that takes that makes up 80-something% of your body. You don't want to put something toxic like that in. It's funny that you would say that because my grandfather we were out that long line of mechanics. I was a mechanic for almost 30 years as well, a heavy truck mechanic, diesel mechanic. But I remember with my grandfather hanging out with him and the old lead acid batteries. You used to pop the caps off and fill them back up with distilled water.
Yeah.
And I remember taking that jug and I went to take a drink of it. And he's like, whoa, son, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm going to take a drink of water. He said, that's not drinking water, boy. That's for batteries. You don't drink that. And I was like, why? He's like, it's poison. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about, man? It's just water. But, it made me go back, 30 years and hear that. And we never drank this
clean water, no doubt. It's clean. You don't want any contaminants in your battery to short it out or anything with, total dissolved solids, which are, minerals. That's why a distilled is great in a battery, except we're kind of a battery, but we have more than just zinc and lead in us. We have these other 77 different minerals inside of us. So we need all those minerals so our body can regulate itself.
Or we should have all 7.
Well, we're supposed to, and that's what we're doing.
We're supposed to have those.
Yeah, and that's where Cell Saviors is. You're going to see our sea salt, which has 90 different electrolytes in it, and then the Cell Saviors humic and fulvic acid, which has the 78 colloid minerals in there. So we're putting back what should be in the soil, and it's not anymore. It's totally gone. Almost 100 years ago, in 1936, Senate document 264. You can look it up online. They said it in 1936 that our soil was deficient then. It is way more deficient and way more toxic and way less vitality now than it was in 1936. And that's
almost 100 years.
Yeah, almost 100 years. And that's what we're replacing with our soil saviors. And until your soil gets good, then that's why we have these other things like cell saviors, because you have to supplement. You cannot eat yourself to health today to save your life. I don't care who you are. I test for malnutrition and vitality, and nobody even comes close to being fully
especially
nourished,
in the United States.
But any NATO country, 5 continents, I've tested people. It's a global thing.
Man, now we had Johnny. They asked about the Grail. What's your guys' thought on the Grail as far as water purification? Have you ever messed with them?
I don't know what that is.
I've not heard of it.
Well, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Well, so if you're going to go purifying, I like things like the Berkey types or Berkey, because they do pretty good, but you're still stripping a lot of stuff out of there too, even trying to get the bad. So that's
Christy asked
good out of the bad.
So we don't leave Christy hanging.
I
don't want to leave her hanging on terms of. Do you have any thoughts on canning versus freeze dried?
100%. I like them both. Freeze dried has its benefits and downsides, and so does canning. You're going to preserve more of the enzymatic things with freeze drying, but still you're going to, there's still a downside to some extent. Canning has its benefits as well as negatives, like destroying, because if you're pressure canning, you're cooking it, you're pasteurizing it, so you've got to supplement either way. Freeze drying is a tad bit better; it lasts longer, but you're still taking the liquid out, and you have to reconstitute it somehow. And in that, there's still, I do both.
Right.
I have freeze dryers in the warehouse. We do all of that. So, but you got to supplement, period. You have to supplement. That's why we put together the line. We put together the line that you have to supplement with, because it's not readily available in the marketplace. It's just not.
Man, what a sad world we live in. That's for sure. Now, for us, we can meat and we freeze dry everything of vegetables and herbs and stuff like that. Is kind of how we've done it. Just especially when you're talking about deer, stuff that's more gamey. That to get a little of the gaminess out, and because we're going to eat that faster anywhere. And then the freeze dried stuff we save for fruits, vegetables, and things of that nature to retain as much of the nutrients as we possibly can.
Right.
So, what did you guys think of earlier this year? I'm sure you guys saw what was it? 2 billion? I want to say 200 million, 2 billion something beehives. The bees, they just all died the first of this year. I believe it was
there's a lot to that.
Yeah, last year, Because
Careful on the spray and stuff too.
yeah, well, so you said the word glyphosate earlier.
Yeah.
Is that
No,
is
that's
that
fine. That's fine.
that's a good word?
Yeah,
I'm
whatever.
just talking about what's up above.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not going to address
Yeah.
that. So
That stuff.
there's that stuff, but there's the glyphosate. There's a lot of weeds and things and bugs that are becoming resistant to the pesticides. Last year they came out with a new class of pest management that is 200 times more toxic than the current, the older herbicides and fungicides and things. So this year it's even, last fall and this spring, there's way more die-off because those new pesticides were released last year, the 200 times more toxic.
Wow. No, I did not hear about that.
That is leading to a lot of the bee die-off.
So with the bee saviors, what you're going to be using there, what does that consist of? How does that work? Because I'm wanting to get into, that's my next deep dive. I've got the fruit orchard and all that. I want to put the bees up there to help pollinate everything.
So there's 4 products. And again, these have been out since 2006. And so now I'm able to bring them out with Pat's help to out to the world right now. So there's 4 products. 2 go in the feed to feed them, and 2 are powders that you just put in the hive. And there's over 1,000 strains of probiotics, and they break down the pesticide residues, the metals, and the toxins. They boost immunity. There's the 78 colloid minerals and a bunch of salt minerals in there. And there's I don't even know the count. There's a few hundred strains of soil probiotics on the liquid feed. And then there's the balance to make the 1,000 or so go in the dry that you put into the hive. And then the bees just move it around on their own and use it that way.
Wow. So this is stuff. What is the shelf life of the stuff that you guys got? I mean, what kind of shelf life can we
10 years or plus if you keep it away out of the direct sun, keep it away from routers and microwaves, like in your pantry or in your root cellar, 50 degrees to 80 or 90 degrees. It'll last a decade with minimal deterioration.
And you got to remember the minerals are minimum 60,000 years old. So they're just minerals, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
That's a good point.
Hey, can we do Christy Renee's deal there?
We are. Let me pop up too here. Tom. That's Tom Bryce. He's part of the Mountain Readiness. Man, Tom is an awesome guy. Appreciate those hats as well, Tom. Check these guys out, Tom. Scan that QR code and make sure to stay up with these guys. Follow them. They've got some awesome stuff coming out. But let's check out Christy because this is a huge.
We would love
huge
people ordering soil. We would love people ordering soil savers and dousing their garden with it and exploding their garden into a Jurassic garden on their orchards. Their bees, of course, which that'll be up soon.
If nothing else, go to Soil Savers and watch the videos there. We've put together endless hours of educational resources on that site.
We've spent 2 weeks of filming 10 hours a day of educational and instructional videos on all of this so that people can really deep dive into all the information and truly educate themselves, so that when they come away from those videos, they're really probably not, they might have a few more questions, but it's going to answer almost every question, I would hope.
Oh, that's awesome, guys. And I hear there is a podcast coming out in the making. You guys going to be rolling on here soon.
Yeah. So we've got a couple episodes in the can already, and many more to come, obviously.
Can't wait. Well, let's address this. Hormone imbalances with men and women is the big thing today. So take it away.
So menopause is actually a severe malnutrition state. That's what menopause is. Because if we had full nutrition and our vitality was really high, we'd be able to reproduce into our 70s, 80s, and so forth. If everything works. I actually have a gal right now who's 53 years old who went menopausal, who now is coming back from menopausal with replenishing her body with the nutrition. So she's coming back online again.
Wow.
So menopause in and of itself is a severe malnutrition state in real time.
So this would fall into the same, like the rejuvenation pack
kit
that I'm using, the regeneration kit. That's, start with that then.
That's the basis. That'll get you going. And on Cell Saviors, it had changed just slightly, but you'll see that when that comes up. There's videos explaining all of that about the regen kit and all that. So, but yeah, she's actually going a little more in depth and working with us on a personal level to get that fast and to get things regenerated. But the regeneration kit, that's why it's put together, because you're replacing those 90 essential C minerals, those 78 essential colloid minerals, and 1,000 strains of probiotics to get that gut back working again and get the toxins out. And so regeneration kit is what it is. I mean, it's regenerating your life, bringing you back to life.
Awesome. Right here, Mountainside Homestead with Ken and Amy. So Soil Savers, who are halfway through our regeneration kits, what is your recommended next steps for continuing? So far, we both feel great.
Yeah, I would just stay on it, because those items that are in the regeneration kit, for the most part, should be in our soil and should be in our food. They're not. And so that's why that kit is so important. I take those products every day. I've raised 4 children over the last few decades. They're almost 30 now. Pat's kids have been on this stuff. I mean, those, you want to not stop that, because that should be in our food, and it's not.
Yeah, and so people that help you understand a little bit about, I'm going to brag about my kids. I like to do that. I've got 3 daughters, 23, 21, and 11. And all 3 are, they don't get sick, of course. They have amazing intellects, very spiritually connected. They're incredible athletes. My oldest daughter just ran a marathon. She was an incredible swimmer. My middle daughter just finished in the top 10 of a triathlon, in her first triathlon, and 2 of the people that finished ahead of her. And she's not even a runner or a biker, but she came out of the water first ahead of 2 Olympians and finished 10th overall. And then their little sister's an even better athlete than them. And that's what putting real nutrients and real probiotics into the body does for children. Their immune systems are amazing. Their skin's perfectly clear. Again, they're super intelligent, very healthy, and they have endurance for days. My 2 oldest daughters, I'll just say this, when they were 12 and 10, could do underwater dolphin kick, porpoising underwater for 3.5 lengths of a pool at 12 and 10 years old.
With no air.
That's Navy SEAL stuff, brother.
Yeah.
They had gills. Your children grew gills from that stuff.
They had Cell Savior.
My father will be 90 this November. And we grew up in the sticks, poor, with not a lot of money. But I think health-wise, my father at 90 years old, I was born when he was 42, and I am the oldest of 3. And there's 3 years apart. At 90 years old, my father can do over 30 pull-ups. He is still bench pressing almost 300 pounds.
Wow.
Oh, my God. At 90.
That's hardcore.
He'll be 90. And he lives by himself outside of Ava, Missouri, between Branson and Springfield, out in the middle of nowhere. He by himself, and cuts his own firewood and burns it. You know, he cuts all of his own firewood, splits it, stacks it. That's his only form of heat. He goes to town maybe once a month, if he's lucky. The rest of the time, he's hunting and eating out of the garden, and 90 years old, still throwing up almost 300 pounds off of a bench. And
natural living.
And I think that there is it stands as a testimony to, if you live right, what you can do. And, you know, as children, you know, I didn't get unhealthy until I left home at 15, because, you know, I got out into the world and I was like, oh, yeah, you know, cigarettes and alcohol, you know, everything else I could possibly throw down my throat, because I went from the sticks to the city. But before then, as children, I mean, we lived in tents and in the middle of nowhere, no electricity, no running water, and we hardly ever got sick. You know, I had a old girlfriend when I was real young, and her family refused to even vaccinate them. And same deal, never got sick. Her whole family, all of her siblings, she ended up leaving and going to college. And I remember once she went to college, she had to take vaccinations, and she was sick as a dog. It almost killed her. We thought she was going to die. So, you know, maybe, you know, there's a lot of toxic stuff. I know there's good stuff in it as well, but, you know, same way, you know, it's, there's got to be something to it. They're putting that garbage in our body.
There was a question there about iodine.
Well, let me throw it up here. Let's see if I can find it.
Ghost enemy.
Let's see here.
Ghost enemy.
Yep. Let me see.
It's not backfire bar.
Let's see, unhealthy. I've missed it somewhere.
That's all right. It just says the last thing I read was about need iodine. So yeah, the soil is deficient of iodine and selenium and a whole bunch of other minerals. So, and the we have in the cell saviors, there's iodine as a salt, as a sea mineral, electrolyte, and there's iodine in the humic and fulvic acid. And I like to supplement even more. I usually use Lugel's iodine on top of all of that, because those forms of iodine cannot bioaccumulate inside of you. If you ever get full of it, it'll just pass on through and it won't hurt you.
And what happens with fluoride?
So if you are iodine deficient, you will pull in fluoride from the water, from the air, wherever it is. So iodine displaces fluoride, the fluoride, the chemicals. So we definitely need iodine for all kinds of metabolic processes.
Okay. Now, is that something that you guys are, I mean, do you have that in these kits? Is there
the iodine is naturally in the humic and fulvic acid, and it's naturally in our sea salt. But if you're going to do more, then you can get things like Lugel's iodine or detoxidine if you buy stuff from Ed Group's company. So it's around. We don't sell it individually
because it's in the sea salt in bioavailable iodine, and then also in the fulvic humic.
Yeah, so it's there. But if you want more, you can always add it.
Right. Now, did you just say you guys are coming out with your own salt too?
We have our own salt.
You have your own salt.
Yeah, I'll give a little story. About 20-some years ago.
It's a little secret location.
It's a secret. But I'll tell you why. Because we tested 125 sea salt beds from around the planet. I actually spent over $50,000 one time, over 20 years ago, because there was some tests back then said there was lead and some other things in most of your sea salt. Not lead as in electrolyte lead, natural, but lead as in industrial waste lead. And come to find out that out of 125 sea salts, that only 2 did not have the heavy metals in them. And those are the 2 beds we get our salt from. We then import it into the country and get it around the radiation chambers. So it's really nutrition and really high vitality. So,
wow!
Don't tell anybody though. Just go and get it.
You just did.
I've got to get some of this because I'm gonna tell you I got rid of everything. Yeah, no, I didn't get any salt.
It's just
I didn't get the salt.
It's just salt. It's just
salt.
Just salt.
It's just salt.
But it's really good salt. It's really good though.
It's really good salt. I know I switched over to Redmond's because it was the closest I could find personally that didn't have, the Himalayan pink salt. They were talking about heavy metals and all kinds of garbage in it. And so it was trying to weed it out. What do you have here? I don't even know. Who is this? This is my son-in-law. What don't these two have? This is, think this is a quicker combo. So, basically, John's saying you guys got it all, and you do. I didn't even know you had your own salt.
Pretty much.
Well, it just comes down
amazing.
It comes down to addressing the issues, the problems, right? And so the main problems always are nutrient deficiencies and toxicities, right? And then that causes infections
and problems, ill health.
Right. Well, and inflammation, I know, is the big thing now. Inflamed everything in the body, just completely inflamed joints. And the healthier I eat and get away from the chemicals, the more sensitive I am when I cheat.
Yep.
Like I'm not even kidding. I've gave up a lot of almost all sugars, processed sugars. I've gave up, I don't smoke. Have 4.5 years, haven't touched a single anything. I rarely ever drink. We raise and process our own poultry, chicken and turkey. We have gardens, fruit orchards and stuff like that. But I will tell you, I love ice cream. I'm not gonna lie.
You gotta have healthy ice cream then, because I love ice cream, and in my ice cream, there's only heavy whipping cream. There's only raw milk, or you can get pasteurized organic milk. You put honey in there, a little salt, some vanilla,
right?
And
I didn't.
yolks.
I went and got it. I went and got Haagen-Dazs, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I woke up the next day, I thought I had a hangover.
You did.
Like, no joke. I
did.
felt like complete crap from a pint of Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and I felt like I had binged that night. I mean, it was insane. It was insane. But it's just those things. It seems the further away you get from it, if you ever go back and you mess with anything, it's 10 times worse on you. But right here, what do we got here? Soil Saviors, Matt King. My wife is having issues relating to autoimmune disorders. What would you suggest to help?
So we really can't have that conversation on this platform. You're going to get dinged really bad because we're going to go into things that are real, but it's going to not jive with community standards.
So start out with the regeneration kit.
So I would definitely for sure get on that Cell Saviors regeneration kit immediately. When it's supposed to be up later this week or next week. So stay tuned.
So now Matthew, he can go to Soil Saviors. And is there a chat? Do you guys got a chat up yet where people can contact and with questions like this and not have to worry about this? Yeah.
Well, they can go to Soil Saviors, our Facebook page as well.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Soil Saviors Facebook
get a hold
page.
of go to the Soil Saviors. And Pat will. There's a team monitoring that, so go right ahead.
And they can go to
awesome.
Just go to PJ Miletich, my Facebook page, and then I can direct them to it if they have trouble finding it as well.
Yeah, and that's another thing, guys. Get on Facebook because that group needs to grow. There's way too much good stuff that is happening here. So everybody out here, spread it around, share it with your friends. Go to Facebook, go to Soil Saviors. It's got that you got the leaf and the roots right there. You can't miss it. Punch in Soil Saviors. That's the one you're looking for. Join that group. It's a private group, and then start inviting your friends to it because we need to grow that platform and every other one that we possibly can to get a lot of people on board with what you guys are doing.
Then come to the next Mountain Readiness event so you can meet us
in person. Let's talk about that. I mean, we've got a few. We only got a few minutes left of the hour. What'd you guys think of Mountain Readiness?
I loved it. It was great. We packed the tent both times.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
The people.
You guys are awesome.
I mean, North Carolina is beautiful, but the people really made it worthwhile.
The
They
people
really
make it better than beautiful.
did. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
And then,
And you guys, without any doubt, you sold out. I knew that was going to happen. You guys just sold out stuff. What I really love too is that you guys, of course, with Billy Bond, our mutual friend Billy, working together, cleaning up the filth there from the hurricane, using the product that you guys have put together and developed. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing all the way around. We have time for one more question. I do have a question if you can answer. Do you think old medicine like willow bark or garlic cloves still has a place in today's age with modern medicine? Should people read up on these?
Yes, but it's bandages at best. When you're malnutrition, you can't eat enough willow bark or garlic cloves to get vibrantly healthy. You know what I'm saying? So you've got, it's a bandage. Herbal remedies still work, but you've got to get your foundation solid.
That makes sense. It comes right back to it. If the body is starving, it's going to leach anything and everything it possibly can into the cell to stay alive.
Even
good
toxins
or bad.
and metals. Yeah.
Good or bad. Yep. So there's my lovely daughter, Taylor. She said, it was nice having y'all there and meeting you. Of course, you kept her in business
coffee,
with
Taylor.
making coffee.
Yeah. Thanks for that coffee.
Thank you.
Awesome coffee every morning.
Awesome. Well, guys, we're getting close to it. What do you want to leave everybody with here? And make sure to let's go down the list of where everyone can find you and what's coming out next. Let's build those platforms for you guys.
Right now, look, go to soilsaviors.org, get a box, just pound your garden, pound your orchard, and you'll taste the difference. You'll feel the difference.
Yep.
It's beautiful stuff. And then sellsaviors.org will be up soon. And then you can go to
get on the list, the mailing list, because every time a site is coming up,
you're going to get an email.
All Soil Saviors people will be known. There'll be an email going out when something new comes out. So get on the email list, join our private membership, and just become part of the Soil Savior Army.
You'll get updates constantly.
Awesome. Well, guys, I really enjoyed having you on again. We always have to do this again. And I will tell you, we got some big stuff that I'm working on in the future. And if it happens,
yes, you can. You can
definitely
Lucy. Yes, you can use it in raised beds. Absolutely.
Yeah, the videos on
Raised
Soil
beds
Saviors
too.
explain all this. There's no bad time to use Soil Saviors, really, all year long, even in the winter.
Now, dilution wise, guys, and because we've got a couple minutes here, so if we buy the Soil Saviors kit, for spraying down our garden or our blueberries, like that amazing picture that you guys posted, that thing was just 5,000 pounds of blueberries was hanging off that thing. But so it's just, you got it's how long will it last? I mean, how many doses can you get out of it?
If you get the 5-acre box, there's 7 components. For 1 acre, you would take 1/5 of each one of those components and mix them in a bucket, make a concentrate, then add that to 25 to 50 gallons of water to spray an acre for 1 treatment. Do the math on shrinking that down for a garden. Do the math on the size of your garden or the size of your orchard, and it'll be easy for you to shrink that all down for the amount of water needed and the amount of product needed.
And there's videos on the site that explain all of this, Bob. So just go and spend a little bit of time and watch our videos. We did endless hours of recording just to make it easy for y'all.
Yep.
And more importantly, for that to happen, you have to go there and be a subscriber.
Yeah, so, please join our army.
Yep. Join the Soil Saviors Army.
Awesome, folks. Well, it's been a great hour. I appreciate you guys as always, and we will definitely do it again before it's all said and done. Awesome. Y'all scan that thing and become part of the Soil Saviors team right here, because you guys are going places. I know you are, and we want to make sure that we're there with you the whole way.
Well, thank you, Bob, and thanks to everybody that jumped on here.
Great show. Thank you all. Thank you, Bob.
Great questions.
We'll see you guys next time. Stay safe and stay ready. We'll see you next Monday.